The biggest talking point of the day emanates from Sydney. So the Swans have graphically lived this twice across the season. They've lost players to severe incidents which result in concussions. And in both instances, players have pleaded guilty and been suspended for lengthy periods of time. It has, John Longmire, seen red card.
It's not just impacting us, if it impacted the game. So you need to step back from the actual incident from Tommy on the weekend and say, is it a reasonable approach to consider that at some point down the track? Maybe.
Clean bowls everyone. McCartan will have to track back. Look at the athlete that's Brown in the 46, just runs into him.
Oh dear.
So McCartan immediately grabs his head. It's on behind play.
If you've got people in the Arc down in Melbourne that are watching it, only the really clear incidents, maybe it's worth a consideration.
No, that's no good.
That's the one, just a split second late. Callum Brown trying to get to the contest.
He chooses to bump. I know he's coming at speed. He's got some decisions to make, but the one outcome that he must prevent is contact with the head.
I know there's a fair bit of water to go under the bridge, and it wouldn't be to punish the player, just to even it up. You know, these type of incidents do happen in football, but is there a way that can be evened up on match day?
I thought Callum Brown, I don't think I've seen a player be more apologetic and more responsive to a bad situation than what he was.
And before the players came in to remonstrate with him, he was sort of, he knew exactly what he'd done.
And then the next thing is, Tom McCartan, anyone but Tom, anyone but Tom.
I think the parents would be so worried as well, and I think we would absolutely, take more caution as a result of that. He's a human being and they just have to look after him.
He's feeling really good. He wasn't knocked out during the actual incident, so that's a relief for everyone, and he can recall everything that happened. So that's a positive. You know, no matter what you put in place, no matter what rules and regulations you put in place, accidents do happen.
Could this be the Ashley and Martin turning point in the red card debate? Usually it's a reactive moment straight after one incident. It flares and fades. This is really carefully considered by John, presented. And in behind it is, so they lost Harry Cunningham first quarter versus Essendon. Peter Wright pleads guilty, gets 4 weeks. Tom McCartan, before half-time, Callum Brown pleads guilty, gets 3 weeks. There's really clear incidents of where a player is taken out of the game. And there's no, we've mentioned before, there's no restorative justice within the game. So the players serve their 4 and their 3 weeks, but there's no restorative justice for Sydney within the terms of a game.
What if Tom McCartan didn't recover and he doesn't play again? That incident could cost Sydney the premiership. It would dent their chances if Tom McCartan's not playing for the rest of the game. I had this put to me last week, Jared, and I was waiting for an incident like this to bring it to you. Why, in all other sports, there's a penalty. There's a penalty to be paid by the team that infringes. Put a dot 30 metres out from goal, and the umpire says, you've got to kick for goal. You've got a free kick. You've got a free kick, not just a free kick, you've got a free kick for goal from 30 metres out. Because they're not kicking anyone off the ground. So it's 22 versus 21. So what else can we... We've got to think of some penalty. Soccer, penalty. Basketball, fouls. NFL, you march them back down the field. We don't have any penalty. You get a free kick. Wow, yeah, nice. How about we start giving them a goal? And we'll see if that will change players' behaviour. Yeah. I didn't mind the idea. I don't know if red card... I don't know where I sit on that, to be honest.
Because it's not a natural part of the sport. It's something that you implement. It's a natural part of nearly every other sport.
I know.
So there's clearly merit behind it. Because it's not part of our sport, I think it sort of has that jarring impact. The way John frames it is inside the Arc, there's already the medical staff, there's already the MRO staff doing their work. And while the Arc has had its moments with score reviews, is once a player is concussed and once you quickly establish that it is a reportable offence, then in that manner, it's possible to work through that in rapid time.
Yeah, no, it is very possible, but the AFL has ruled it out.
Yes, they're not interested in it. I thought Longmire presented it really calmly and rationally today, and he's got the 2 best case studies of the year, as it turns out.
Yeah, no, he'd be angry, and I'm serious. If Tom McCartan doesn't come back, there's doubts on the Swans winning a premiership, mate.
So I wonder it'll be over a couple of years that whether we lean towards this.
I like
or
my
not.
penalty kick idea.
I'm going to get Johnny Ralph in because there's a couple of big concussions on the weekend for both Tom McCartan and also Tom Liberatore. Tom Liberatore to be out for an extended period, and I wouldn't be surprised if Tommy McCartan misses more than 1 week as well. Let's hear from their coaches.
I actually saw him stumble in the middle of the ground, and that's concerning. When it was only a couple of weeks ago, then the same thing happened. It's a bigger concern than just a one-game issue for me. Our guys will look at it. We'll take a conservative approach. We'll look after him, and we'll leave it to the experts.
Yeah, look, I spoke to him. He's okay. He's just over in our training facility at the moment. But look, he's okay. It was disappointing. What do you want me to say?
We understand where Johnny Longmire's come from there, and the good thing is no one will be rushing these two players back. John Ralph, thanks for joining us. Libba out for an extended period, and Tommy McCartan, who's had a few issues himself, given the family history as well.
No doubts, yeah. So Tom is being encouraged by some leading concussion experts to consider his future tonight after 4 concussions in the space
Which
of...
Tom?
Tom Liberatore, yeah. So last night's collision with Carl Amon, we saw him return to play and the club ticked him off there. So this is the state of affairs. That's quite a heavy knock. He was allowed to come back on. Then after he was cut open by Connor Nash's boot, I think we all felt that was just a blood rule issue. But he fell to the ground. The club labelled it a concussive episode today. He's out indefinitely. So as they said in their statement, they need to determine a plan for him to return to play. So this is last year. So this is round 6. Now he's in a world of hurt after a hit with Andrew Brayshaw. And then we see again Connor Nash, a knee to the head. Just look at him just plummeting to the ground and just sitting there prostate. They are such worrying scenes, and I think it makes you aware of the extent of that concussion history. So Professor Alan Pearce from La Trobe University tells Fox Footy tonight, I'd be highly concerned about 4 concussions in 12 months. We've seen from the research anyone who has a lifetime history of 3 has the risk of cognitive impairments later in life. So we'll see how he responds, but as with Paddy McCartan there, we're seeing longer periods out. We're seeing more significant concussions from lesser force, and that's really alarming.
Yeah, well, I hope, and I'm sure they will. They'll take all the time in the world, and no one's barracking for him to retire by any stretch of the imagination, but his health and well-being is at the forefront.
That's right. So with Tom, there's no update yet. It's so early in, with Tom McCartan, rather. No update given it's so early in the concussion protocol, but even him last year. So around 4, he suffered a concussion. He was out for 2 weeks. He came back 2 weeks later, and then after that, he suffered headaches when he hadn't had another concussive incident. We didn't see him at AFL level again until round 17. So no one is going to be under more care than the McCartan family. So we wish him well. He'd played a couple of VFL games before that, but it just shows again that no one's rushing either of these two players back.
Is there, I don't know whether it's right or not, but is there a genetic suggestion with the brothers maybe suffering something similar?
I don't know the answer to that. No, I know they're doing a million different studies there, but I think the parents would be so worried as well, and I think we would absolutely take more caution as a result of that. He's a megastar and there's a football perspective to it, but he's a human being and they just have to look after him.